Let's get back to, shall we, a man who was fired for lying during the course of an internal investigation by the IC at the FBI, the number 2, Andrew McCabe, who was one of the leaders of a coup who sought to undermine our Constitution and the election of a president of the United States. One day, when we actually have a free press, when we actually break the monopoly, the ideological monopoly on our college campuses, that's going to require breaking tenure. One day, people will write about this period, both about the abuses of power by the Obama administration, unbelievable activity during the course of this campaign that just passed, and the media. Anyway, McCabe, cut 4, go.
I can't describe to you accurately enough the pressure and the chaos that Rod and I were trying to operate under at that time. It was incredibly turbulent, incredibly stressful, and it was clear to me that that stress was impacting the Deputy Attorney General. We talked about why the president had insisted on firing the director and whether or not...
Whoa. One of the reasons, again, for the 400th time he fired the director was he got a memo from Rod Rosenstein. Now, you might say, but he urged Rosenstein to write the memo. So what? He's a big boy, Rosenstein. He's a former United States attorney. Didn't want to write it, didn't have to write it. Nobody had a gun to his head, but he wrote it. And now, whether the president committed an act of obstruction on the advice of Mr. Rosenstein. You see how bizarre this is? It was an incredibly turbulent period, incredibly stressful. Go ahead.
Was thinking about the Russia investigation, and did that impact his decision? And in the context of that conversation, the Deputy Attorney General offered to wear a wire into the White House.
Now let's set the stage here. Deputy Attorney General recommends the firing of Comey, as did many people, by the way. Former Attorneys General, former Deputy Attorneys General, former U.S. Attorneys General, because of Comey's conduct. Comey's conduct was unethical and outrageous. So many people who'd served in high positions in past administrations of both parties at the Justice Department said Comey should be fired. President fires Comey. The Democrats wanted Comey out until the president fired him. Then all of a sudden, hey, that's obstruction of justice. So anyway, Rosenstein recommends that he be fired and then offers to wear a wire into the White House. The president has done nothing to disrupt the investigation on resources, on personnel, other than fire the FBI director, because the FBI director was saying one thing to him and one thing to the public about the investigation. In other words, he's two-faced. Actually, more than that faced. And so stupid is Scott Pelley that Scott Pelley didn't have enough sense to follow up. Now, wait a minute there. Andy, may I call you Andy? We've become good friends. I'm going to name my next grandson, I'm going to name you his god-grandfather. But before we get there, Andy, I'm a little confused. Rosenstein recommends in a memo that the president fire Comey, whether he was asked or not. And then he offers to wear a wire? Does that make sense to you? Could you be lying, Mr. McCabe? According to Jake Tapper, there's no way that McCabe is lying. It's got to be Rosenstein who's lying. Isn't it possible, ladies and gentlemen, they're both pathological liars? That's where I come down. Go ahead.
He said, I never get searched when I go into the White House. I could easily wear a recording device. They wouldn't know it was there. Now, he was not joking. He was absolutely serious. And in fact, he brought it up in the next meeting we had. I never actually...
Let me tell you what was going on, folks. Rosenstein knew he'd never wear a wire. But Rosenstein had recommended that the president fire Comey. He comes under enormous attacks from the left and the Democrats, with whom he's had a wonderful relationship. He's out of Maryland. He's a Republican from Maryland. A lot of these Republicans from Maryland, I'm not talking about you conservatives, but a lot of these Republicans from Maryland are Democrats, like Hogan, the governor. They are effectively Democrats. For most of the country, that's how you would view them. So he appoints a special counsel with no basis whatsoever to cover for his memo, for which he was under attack. And then he's trying to persuade the FBI, Mr. Baker, Mr. McCabe, that he's one of them, that he's tough too. And that's why he's saying, I would wear a wire there, nobody can get me, and so forth. And so I'm telling you what was going on in there. Rosenstein has a loose screw. So does this guy. Now, that should cause you a lot of fear, because they can destroy a lot of lives, and they have. Just like this guy, Weissman, who works for Mullah. They have loose screws, too. Go ahead.
Considered taking him up on the offer. I did discuss it with my general counsel and my leadership team back at the FBI after he brought it up the first time.
So the cabal for the coup is bigger, bigger, bigger. They're leaking to the media. They're conspiring with one another. They thought they had Trump on the dossier. It didn't work. They thought they could stop him from getting elected. It didn't work. Now they want to spy on him further. Did you understand what I said? They want to spy on the President of the United States. That's what a wire is all about. They want to spy on the President of the United States. This rogue cabal at the FBI. And the media want you to focus on the media tonight. The media want you to focus on their favorite newspaper, the New York Times, tonight. We're not focusing on the New York Times. They're a joke. Cut 5, go.
The Deputy Attorney General offered to wear a wire into the White House. He said, I never get searched when I go into the White House. I could easily wear a recording device. They wouldn't know it was there. Now, he was not joking. He was absolutely serious. And in fact, he brought it up in the next meeting we had.
Rosenstein was actually openly...
That's this guy.
Talking.
He's got a speech impediment. Rosenstein was... Yeah, move it along. Go ahead.
There was a majority of the cabinet who would vote to remove the president.
That's correct.
Yes.
Counting votes or possible
now,
votes.
Now, this guy, Pelley, is such a pathetic moron and leftist. His comment should have been, what the hell is the FBI doing playing around with the 25th Amendment? You have no role whatsoever. The hell are you doing over there? Exactly what crime did Trump commit? Oh, he fired poor Comey. He's allowed to fire Comey. See, if Pelley wasn't such a leftist in the back pocket of the cabal, he would have had some serious. Have you heard a serious question here? No, I have not. Go ahead. Yes.
The fact is, and it's not in my book.
Now this is today, right, Mr. Producer? Now, today on The View, who goes on The View with these yentas? Especially the one in the middle, Joy Behar, another failed radio host. What a joke. She's a Las Vegas lounge act. They put her on The View because she's a lib. Yes. All right, let's take it from the top. Now, you heard what he said, right, about the 25th Amendment? Now, all of a sudden, well, I wasn't really going to talk about it. I didn't write about it in the book, you know. Yeah, because it exposes the coup. That's why. Cut 6, go.
The fact is, and it's not in my book for exactly this reason. I made the decision not to include these comments in the book because they were...
But you made them on 60 Minutes, endlessly. Endlessly. And the reason you didn't put them in your book, but then you decided in 60 Minutes, because you got a loose screw to begin with. So consistency is not your strong point, is because you got pushback after your interview on 60 Minutes, pal. People said, holy mackerel, this guy just confessed to trying to overthrow the government of the United States. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? Universalize your point. You don't even have to talk about this particular president. This man was part of a cabal to overthrow the government of the United States. In that, I mean the President of the United States. With no constitutional authority, no legal authority, no crime having been committed. Go ahead.
It never went beyond the realm of a brief, offhanded comment by the Deputy Attorney General.
Whoa. Didn't he say, Mr. Producer, that Rosenstein brought it up twice the next day? And they were counting votes? And they had 2 cabinet members or something like that? This guy is pathological. Go ahead.
I'm not aware of any steps that were taken to execute this. I'm not aware of any meetings that were pulled together to discuss it. There was no further discussion.
Caught you didn't, pal. Your big mouth caught yourself, didn't it? You tried to overthrow the government of the United States. And now you're saying, oops, wait a minute. Everything I said on 60 Minutes, it's not correct. You didn't hear what he said, see, folks. That's why I'm playing it back to back. Because, yes, you did. Let's continue. Cut 7. Go.
I don't believe you're a reliable narrator. And I'm not convinced this isn't just some kind of PR campaign to stop yourself from getting indicted.
Good for you.
You were fired at the recommendation of the FBI, which in your book you cite 4 times how great of an organization it is for your lack of candor. I would like you to say right here on national TV that you were not a source for the New York Times, you were never a source for the New York Times or any other publication, considering that's what you're accused of lying about. Basically, were you ever a leaker to the New York Times?
Absolutely not. No, not in any time ever. You should understand, Megyn, when I was serving as deputy director, I was one of 2 people in the FBI that had the authority to disclose information to the media. That is an FBI policy. It's baked into the way that we run media relations in the organization. So I transacted on issues regarding the media every single day.
Just really quick, then why did James Comey deny the claim that he approved your leaks to the press?
I don't know why Jim Comey doesn't remember the conversations that we had in the same way that I do. It is understandable. He was
Wait a minute. Gee, he's lucky he wasn't interviewed by the FBI, isn't he? Because it could be, a Mike Flynn situation. I don't know why Jim doesn't remember things the way I remember. Jim doesn't remember this. Weissman! Imagine what Weissman would do with this. Because everybody they interview better have a split-second memory of everything that ever took place in their lives, every email they ever wrote, every text they ever read. Otherwise, look, we got you on false statements. Look at this. Go ahead.
Enormous amount of stress at the time. He had a lot of other kind of more important things.
Everybody's under stress but him. Rosenstein's under stress. Comey's under stress. But this guy's a cool cat. Although he sounds like he's not. Go ahead.
I can't explain why he doesn't remember them the same way I do.
I thought you guys wrote everything down.
We wrote down things when we were dealing with people we didn't trust.
Like the president.
Exactly.
Joy, you're so funny. Actually quite stupid. Low IQ, that's quite obvious. McCabe, well, exactly. We wrote everything down about the president, you see, because we didn't trust him. Let's continue on The View today. Go ahead, cut 8.
Let me ask you something that stuck with me. You say in the book...
This is Anna Navarro, an idiot. Go ahead.
Compare Trump to a Russian mob boss. And that's something you know something about. You spent part of your career investigating the Russian mob.
I did.
You say, quote, he worked you over the way a criminal brigade would operate. Yeah. Tell me the similarities, because we think he's a little bit more Don Corleone, frankly.
Oh, aren't you funny? Aren't you funny? The president's Don Corleone. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.